how do you deal with Trump's habit of hitting black mayors?
Well, Reverend Hale, I was in Florida yesterday as well. I was in Tallahassee. I did a big press conference with the state party chair and many of the candidates that are running. For the first time in 30 years, every seat, every state house, every state senate, every congressional seat, we have a Democrat running for that seat. That's the first time that's happened in 30 years. And you know, over the last few years, we have picked up big wins in Jacksonville. We have a Democratic mayor now in Jacksonville. We flipped a Republican seat in the state house in central part of Florida. We flipped a Republican seat in the state house in central part of Florida. We flipped a Republican seat in the state house in central part of Florida. We flipped a Republican seat in the state house in central part of Florida. So there's a lot of momentum. We know that the reproductive rights and freedoms are going to be on the ballot this election cycle. So the stars are aligning in Florida. And I'm telling people, do not. The biggest sleeper of the night may be Florida on election day. And so we can't sleep on Florida. We have to invest in Florida. We got to make sure that we're fighting back against the hatred, the bigotry, the division that we see in that state led by Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump. And so we're all in and we're going to be pushing forward. The Biden campaign has already opened offices in Florida, and we'll continue to make progress over the course of these next few months.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
This initiative to upgrade all of our boat ramps around the county, and most of the work is actually being done in the St. Cloud area.
No, it is.
So, like at Lake Gentry, here at Trout, I believe, down at Lake Kissimmee, we've got a lot of things going on down there. So we've got a ton of work happening right here in the county on our boat ramps to make them more accessible with more amenities and more parking.
Yeah, I know the parking's really been one of our issues at some of our southern boat ramps. And also, as you said, a lot of those boat ramps have deteriorated. There's nothing worse than trying to put your boat in and falling in a big fish hole where the boat ramp ends and your boat's all lopsided. So it's a great investment by the county, that's for sure.
There's nothing partisan about trying to get the hydrilla out of Big Lake Tahoe.
Well said.
And I think we're going to keep. I know you're part of that fight. I know Commissioner Grieve has certainly been a part of that fight. I'm going to be a part of that fight as well. I don't think there's anything partisan about cleaning up Westlake.
That's great. And you know what a lot of people don't realize too, with the invasive plants in our waterways, how that actually takes away from capacity and storage opportunities. And I know you've dealt firsthand with a lot of flood issues on our last major storm where we saw a 500-year rain event happen here in Osceola.
Enough of that.
Ladies and gentlemen,
two commissioners sit in a boat.
Yeah, what you just witnessed was a prime example of a violation of Florida state statute there, the Florida Sunshine Law. You have two county commissioners on the same commission discussing policy which is going to be voted on in the budget.
Yeah.
I mean...
and that's why the video cuts that way, because they're cutting right to the chase, right where they're talking about something they're going to be voting on.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
there they are talking
How
about it.
dumb are these two guys that they would... I mean, I wish that I was, instead of being on our show, I wish that I was on like Kill Tony or something like that, where I could really say what I wanted to say about these guys. But these guys, how dumb do you have to be as a county commissioner to get on a boat with somebody else who works on the same board as you do and discuss the budget and how you're going to vote? And they're even talking about a third county commissioner. Yeah. So it's them two discussing the vote, and then they're even bringing in another. So now that's another violation, because they're talking about how somebody else, Ricky Booth, is talking about how another county commissioner is going to vote to a county commissioner on a specific plan or program. And then they videotape it and they air it.
Yeah, I just think they feel emboldened, John. I don't think they're worried about anything, but they should be, because they just got sued. They just got sued. They're going to settle, from what I hear, this lawsuit over breaking Sunshine Law. I think it was that too, right? Was it?
Yeah. So this is the second time. So I mean, this is nuts. This is absolutely crazy.
And that first video, John, the DNC chair, This is the DNC chair for the United States. He, not just Florida. Florida is Nikki Fried, as you should know.
Yeah.
He's saying Florida's in play. And like John has been saying, like I've been saying, like we've been saying for a while now, they are campaigning off the win of District 35.
Yeah.
And he said it right there.
Yep.
He said it right there, and it brought them momentum going into this election. So why on earth would we invest in a losing candidate? Why on earth would we try and put this person up again to lose again?
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen. That you can blame it on anything you want. You can blame it on special election. No one turned out. No one turned out because no one wanted to vote for this candidate.
Yeah. Listen, this was a protest vote by Republicans. They were refusing to vote for Erica Booth. And if Erica Booth wins that primary, then Tom Keene walks into that seat again. Yeah. And probably by a larger margin. Because I've had a lot of Republicans reach out to me and say, listen, what can I do? Because I want to make sure that Erica Booth doesn't win. And this was before qualifying, because we had a surprise candidate in that race. She's a hardcore conservative, a true America First person, Laura McAdams. So there's your answer right there. All the people that were calling me saying, what can we do? Because we want to make sure that Erica Booth... And people have said, I don't care about Tom Keene being the representative. I just don't want Erica Booth. So in terms of your Republican priorities, it's like, I don't want Booth, I don't want Keene. And so if Keene is second, then, they're not going to vote for Erica Booth is the bottom line.
Absolutely.
So don't spend another $2 million. Let her fight it out. Let her lose her primary. She will lose her primary if it's honest. And she'll absolutely, if she wins the primary, she'll lose the general, guaranteed.
Yep. Evan Power, RPOF, I hope you're listening. I hope you're paying attention this time around. You backed the wrong horse the last time. Don't do it again. Don't do it again.
Well, and it's not just that they backed the wrong horse, but they're also listening to the wrong people on the ground. The people who are elected right now as a Republican. You just saw like the moron who's on that boat breaking sunshine law. That guy does not have his ear to the ground. No. When he went to the Republican Party more than a year ago, right? That was the last time he showed up at a Republican Party meeting. Yeah. He got booed out. He got booed. The Republican Party was there. They booed him out. Okay? That's not the guy that's going to get grassroots drive out people to go. I don't care how bad he wants to be the Commissioner of Agriculture. He's not going to win Osceola County regardless.
No.
So I think that you need to be very careful who you're listening to in Osceola County because the people who are elected here are losing. They're losing elections for Republicans countywide and statewide, right? And we just saw that, and you can see that, right? We'll see right now. Yeah. In 2024, it's going to be very clear that they don't have a lot of standing with the conservative families of Osceola. Welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned Florida. We were excited the show. We came in a little bit early. We worked out as many kinks as possible. We shouldn't have any technical difficulties. That's been kind of our tradition here so far over the past 2 years.
We keep trying new
things, yeah. And so, but we prepared a great show. We have a ton of great stories. We're gonna go through these titles here and talk about just all the stuff going on in Central Florida. So, and throughout the state. But first, we're going to say a quick prayer, and then we'll get right into the show. Lord, this is the free state of Florida, and we are very appreciative that we know the difference between Florida and California. Those people who are suffering in California or in New York just have no idea how good it is to live in a state that is free like this. We do, and we are not going to give it up. We're not going to surrender it. And so while Democrats believe that this state is in play, conservatives who put you first and put your biblical values ahead of the other priorities that are distractions are going to come out and vote and fight to make this the perfect model for all the other states in the union. And we pray that that makes this whole union a better country. In your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right. So this week, as we just saw, the DNC chair that Florida's in play. Florida is not in play, folks. That's a pipe dream.
It's in play for them to lose a lot of money. That's
which is fine.
Yeah.
If it was really in play, they would have sent their best people here.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They sent like the B group, right? Like the G League.
They had their convention and no one came. They sent videos.
That's right.
They sent videos.
That's right. No one came to their convention. My goodness, nobody came to the convention. That is embarrassing. Where's the torpedo when you need one? We just saw that. A torpedo would have been perfect timing for that clip there with Arrington and Booth. Unsanctioned drives liberals nuts. We're going to talk about that. We love that. This is our favorite story, I think, of the year. This is our story of the year, right? Disney employee says that they have racist policies. Angelina Paulina, representative, the congresswoman, says that Biden is on the chopping block. Donald says he's ready for all things, including the VP and P seat. I lost my place here. There you go. Betrayal and intrigue in Lake County. This was a pretty interesting story. Flood mandates hit South Florida hard. A shady Lavender consultant driving RINO movement in Florida.
Yeah, this is somebody you need to know about.
You need to know this name, and you need to. Whenever you recognize this footprint, you know that bad things are happening in your area. Yeah. Conflict of interest in the former Orange Elections Chief Administration. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Glenn Gilzine, who's the supervisor of elections there. He's really cleaning up the place, making it great. Yeah. And he did within 48 hours, he made a whole bunch of improvements at that elections office. Incredible. Yeah. But we're going to talk about the previous administration in that office. Osceola sheriff facing a huge field and muddy waters in his election. Cop arrested in Kissimmee over a nude photo ask. We'll talk about it. It's truly disgusting, disturbing story. Kissimmee mayor's race heats up. And man, that election, I was at that meeting, and it did get heated up. Osceola says it won't turn forest to asphalt if we pay more taxes. St. Cloud Trail opens and the council celebrates as if they built the Eiffel Tower. Yeah. And more on this episode of Unsanctioned Florida here with School Board Member John Arguello, my great friend, citizen Tom Lord. Let's get into the show.
All
What's
right,
this first
start
story
off
here?
With some Florida. All right, so like we talked about just a minute ago, it seems that we upset a few people over at the Florida Squeeze, John, and they posted this on X and shared a clip of the show, and this is what they said: far-right online MAGAs melting down over Senator officially Carlos G. Smith's election and successful Democratic legislative recruitment efforts. The first thing I want to say about this is we appreciate that you shared this Florida Squeeze.
Thank you so much.
We absolutely do.
Thank you.
We were not melting down. We were having a discussion and a conversation.
And if there's a meltdown,
discussion and conversation, it wasn't a meltdown.
If we were melting down, it would have been about the beatdown that the Republican Party should be giving you right now. Yeah. And they're still winning, but they're leaving so much meat on the table, so much meat on the bone that while they should be they should be driving the stake into the heart of the Democratic Party, which you guys are a dead body already. Yeah. Man, it's just they're not closing it for us, right? So we have an opportunity to close the deal. You guys are waking up in hotel rooms, toes down, with drugs all over the place. There's a giant difference between our two parties and the levels of success that we've experienced over the past several years. So don't worry, we're not melting down. If we're melting down from anything, it's from the heat. But other than that, we're pretty cool here.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Florida Squeeze, you might be asking yourself, what is the Florida Squeeze? Well,
never heard of it.
Yeah, I never had.
Never heard of it.
But the Florida Squeeze is a far-left website.
But they're fans of ours.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess they're watching. But they are a far-left website. They are run by this man. His name is Kartik Krishnaiyer. He is one of Florida's leading progressive bloggers.
That's according to them, right?
Yeah, that was according to Florida Politics. They did this article on him. I didn't even think it was you didn't think it was a real name. We thought it was a fake person.
I thought it was a fake person, yeah.
But I read up on him. He volunteered for numerous different campaigns. He's been very involved in Democrat politics. So obviously we upset him. But also Carlos Guillermo Smith shared their post, the Florida Squeeze's post. and he had to say that he's so sorry this is happening to us. And
yeah, well, like I said in my post, I responded that it's nothing compared to what's happening to him in his own home. So listen, we don't care. Here's the thing: we don't care. We don't care about your reaction. We don't care that you guys watch and complain. We don't care that you guys are filling up jars of tear water while you're watching the show. We enjoy doing it. This show is designed, it's written for conservative families, people who love their family, people who love their country, people who love their state. That's what we're going to continue to have this show for.
Now.
And we have a lot of fun doing it. So
you want to look at some of the comments?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, let's see. They're fun. Here's the thing. They were going nuts.
Yeah, the liberal trolls
had 23,000 views.
Force.
This is, I mean, like, first of all, how much time would I ever spend looking at a Republican podcast or whatever? You know, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to spend my time doing that. If I was going to say something really bad, but, you know... Yeah, let's see some of these. Let's see the melting down. Let's see the real melting down.
You know, there's the post, and it's an actual clip from the show where we're having a discussion.
And what we're talking about is Nikki Fried fielding people. So kudos to the Democrat Party for fielding candidates for every seat, and that's what we were complaining about. Is why didn't the Republicans do that?
Yes, absolutely.
You know, Republicans didn't. In fact, we had an insider that said that they had reached out to the GOP Senate leadership, and they said that we have it under control. By letting him walk into it? Why? Why would they do that?
Yeah. Arguello is one of the worst.
I'm one of the worst. I'm one of the worst. Hey, I'm okay with that title. If I am the guy that they consider the worst, then I'm saying all the right things. I'm doing all the right things as far as I'm concerned. So I'm not too worried about it. I think it's funny, and anything funny there? I mean,
we had the Queen of Transgenders comment on there.
Jennifer Cousins, right?
Yeah.
She's like the
look. This one has their pronouns in their profile. Isn't that nice?
Yeah, listen. This was I would have been fatigued just reading the pronouns. But it's nothing but rainbow flags over and over
Ukrainian
and over
flags,
again. Ukrainian flags,
Palestinian flags. You know,
well,
anything but the American flag.
Anything but the American. Did you see any American flags at all? No, of course not. So, hey, listen. So you guys can carry your rainbow flag and your Ukrainian flag. I'll do my show and carry the American flag, and no problem.
Yeah. Another place that would agree with these folks, though, John, is Disney, and this just came out.
Clearly.
Said James O'Keefe teases a new undercover report, the Disney tapes, but he did release one of them. Mm-hmm. And we have a clip from that. Watch this.
There have been times where, there's no way we're hiring a white male person.
Just kind of unspoken.
There are times when it's spoken, but...
How would they say it?
There's no way we're hiring a white male person.
Wow.
Like straight to you? Or okay.
They'd be very careful how they message that to agents.
According to these videotapes, Disney blatantly discriminates against white men in particular.
I think I'm sort of well prepared for it. I'm well positioned for it. But as far as Disney's concerned, I'm a white male. That's not who they're looking to promote at the moment.
As a white guy, even Michael has his own doubts about the possibility for advancement for himself at Disney. In fact, Michael actually got to experience Disney's discrimination against white males firsthand.
I've been at the company 11 years now, so I have friends in HR and I have friends in those divisions, and they're like, look, nobody else is going to tell you this, Mike, but they're not considering any white males for the shop. They're just not.
Wow.
Not what they want.
They even passed over a qualified half-black person for a promotion because they didn't look black enough.
We wanted to hire somebody in the department a few years ago now who was half-black but didn't appear half-black. And there was a creative executive who was like, we're not, that's not what's wrong. They wanted somebody in meetings who would appear a certain way. And he wasn't gonna bring that to the meeting. I mean, it kind of feels like we're, at some point there's going to be a lawsuit. That's kind of how it feels.
No kidding. No kidding.
That is a lawyer talking. So how does Disney explain pushing these discriminatory practices? They use code words and buzzwords.
I'm guessing that there's acceptable code words and buzzwords that are used to explain what they're looking for. They might say something like, look, we're not looking at like the usual suspects for this job. So it's like not like a legally actionable thing, but everybody knows what it means. They, for writers and actors, we'll hear all the time, like, looking to hire writers and actors who bring diversity. I'm not looking to bring on any more clients who are white.
Wow.
Welcome to the Disney tapes.
Wow. Well, here's the thing. I think that now this the new president of Disney should be fired, right? If that's the case, their HR person should be fired. This is pure racism. Blatant racism is what this is. And they're taking their cue from the White House, right? Because that's what they've been doing at the White House too, right? Yeah. I mean, they've been on this tear just of diversity hires, and they were saying that that's the reason that they were a historic administration, but it's been historically bad. Yeah. And I mean, come on, these guys, Disney, there's going to be hell to pay for this. I think I really believe that.
And this was done out in California, so this really is kind of a Florida story because Disney really exists here big time. They are
this is their headquarters. This is
number one employer in Central Florida. You have to imagine that this stuff is happening here as well.
Of course it is.
This guy was a vice president in their entertainment division, so he does television shows. Mm-hmm. But I think we see the signs of what he's talking about across their TV shows, across their movies. You look at the Marvel movies and how they've changed from their inception to what they are now, and the different TV shows they have on television. I absolutely believe what he's saying. I mean, how could you not? Especially when you see their programming and you see it in their programming.
I mean, to me, it's obvious. You see, and yeah, exactly. In their programming, it's. And here's the thing: how do you know? I think that the great example, the great portion of that video is they're saying this guy's half black, but because he does not look black enough, they're not going to hire him, right? So now it's like how much more racist can that be? Right? Yeah. I mean, it reminds me of when the superintendent said that she would treat my two sons, which appear, right, completely different. One has a dark complexion, one has blonde hair, blue eyes, and she said that she would treat them differently. I mean, how dumb can that be? This is dumb. And the education world, these are people that are being brought up in the education world, through school. And if this is what the superintendents are telling their teachers and telling the educational community, and this is coming up through the classes, and then you go to college, and college is just a disaster, right? Yeah. Then, so when they graduate, they go into the workplace, and then they practice this BS. But it's blatant racism, and it's illegal already, so let's see the lawsuits. Anybody who did not get a job at Disney World who's white, especially white males, man, I would be calling my lawyer.
Or didn't get promoted or whatever.
Yep.
It's funny.
Even though on paper you're the best candidate.
James O'Keefe said that the undercover reporter met this guy on a dating app. And it's funny to me because you watch him in the videos, it doesn't look like he's into women, at least, from outward appearances. But I guess he is, so.
But he could just be a California beta male.
That is true.
Right? And then you wouldn't know the difference.
Since the video has been released, he has taken down his LinkedIn page. So,
oof. That's bad. That's bad.
All right, so rumors are persisting, John, that President Biden will be stepping aside. I'm hearing different conflicting views on this. Some people are saying he's going to. Some people are saying it's way too late. It's not going to happen.
I mean, it's all of the above, right? Because it is too late, but it's also a disaster. It's like a point of no return. It doesn't make a difference because are you going to lose? No, you got to take them out regardless. If you're going to lose, you might as well give yourself the best chance. So all of those things can be true.
Yeah, well, one person who's saying it is true is Anna Paulina Luna. She's one of our representatives, and
I tend to agree with her.
Yeah, she's saying that's what she's hearing on Capitol Hill. She was on Jesse Waters. Here she is.
realize that Joe Biden's likely not going to be the nominee, which is, from what we're hearing on Capitol Hill, Jesse, Representative Kiley had reported that Kamala Harris actually eyeing a run for California governor because of it.
Right. That's the backup plan. So you are hearing also in D.C. that Joe Biden isn't going to be the Democrat nominee?
Correct. It appears that our colleagues are trying to put guardrails on a 2024 presidential election with President Trump. And also what you're seeing is, according to our polling, Jesse, as well as I do, that they've been trying to really paint Republicans as anti-woman, and they're trying to push an abortion crisis right now with the election. And I don't think that that's the case. A lot of the American people know that really this is a state rights decision. And so I think that they know that they're losing. It's very evident at this point.
All right. Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, the straight truth.
Yeah, and it is apparent they're losing. But,
it is absolutely apparent that they're losing.
I mean, I don't know, John. Are they going to replace Biden? And it sounds like she said something about Kamala Harris going to California governor. So, that would be Newsom, right?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, who would this is a mess. They're a mess. When you hire, like the president is supposed to be the best, right? Yeah. And then you always hire like a second level person to be the VP, right? Because you don't never want the VP to outshine the president.
Absolutely.
So how bad is Joe Biden that the only person that's qualified to be second string to him is Kamala Harris, right? That's basically saying like she's so bad, right? And he's so bad that Kamala Harris has to be the one that is his VP. Now, so what do? If she's VP, how much lower do you have to go to find a VP that would make her look like a good president?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd have to find somebody Brandon Arrington.
Yeah.
You'd have to find somebody who's mentally deficient beyond any kind of measurable metric.
Well,
even.
I don't know if it would be him because he is white. You have to remember Kamala Harris is a diversity hire herself.
Is he gay though?
So.
I thought he was gay. It's okay.
Yeah,
I don't know if he's gay.
Well, we don't have proof of that.
I don't know that he's gay.
Kamala Harris is a diversity hire herself. I imagine they'd have to replace her with a diversity hire. So I don't know. Maybe one of the squad. I don't know.
I don't know. How about what about Darren Soto? Right? Because there's rumors about him, and he's Hispanic, right? Although he doesn't speak Spanish, he's Hispanic. I mean, you could. I don't know. He's also from Florida.
That's true.
I don't know. Could you get a? I don't know. It would be kind of a waste. There's really. I mean, if you have to go low, you got to be. I mean, I don't know. We have a lot of options here in Central Florida because the Democrats here in Central Florida. Carlos Guillermo Smith.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. That's about as bad as you can get, right? All he does is bring like pixie dust and rainbow stickers to the game. Anyways, I mean, that's not going to gain you a whole bunch of votes, but nonetheless, he checks all the boxes.
Yeah, especially for that position. So. We'll get back to reality here, though. And we know that President Trump is winning. One of the people rumored to be vice president with President Trump is Byron Donalds. And he got cornered on Meet the Press, and they asked him if he was ready to serve as president if President Trump couldn't serve. And he said he is 100% prepared to serve as president. Here is Byron Donalds.
Some news about your future. Mr. Trump said yesterday that your name is very high on his list of people he's considering as a running mate. Would you be ready on day one to serve as commander-in-chief if necessary?
Yep.
Well, I think if you're going to step into that job, it's obviously the toughest job, the biggest job, not just in our politics, but really, frankly, in the world. Look, I think that I would have an ability to step in. I'm actually pretty intelligent. I can sift through issues really, really well. It's about judgment. It's about logic streams. It's about how you make decisions at the end of the day. And then you cannot discount the fact that you would have a lot of people who are very qualified to be around to help you do that job and do what's in the best interest of the American people. Do I believe in myself? 100% I do. And so, we'll see what President Trump decides. I'm going to support whatever he does.
Yeah, what else are you going to say? I mean,
yeah. I like, he's a confident guy. He is good. Would he be ready? I think he would be ready. And I think a lot of the Republicans would be. Marco Rubio, right? That's another guy from Florida that they're looking at. Would he be ready? I believe he'd also be ready. I mean, if you look at, you even go to the people that are not being considered in Florida, Corey Mills.
Yeah.
He'd be ready, right? Matt Gaetz, would he be ready? He'd be ready. And even the people that are not being considered for president in Florida on the conservative side are really good. and would be worthy of that seat.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't speak to certain people that are on his list, like Doug Burgum. I don't really.
I don't like him.
Too much about him. I know he's an older white dude. I don't know that much.
But
about
we're not
J.D.
Disney.
Vance.
We're not Disney, so
no,
that's...
we're not Disney. But
it's just what I don't like about him is that the advantages that he brings are the ones that I don't like, which is these more purple centrist kind of ideals. Right now,
yeah, we don't need any more of that.
Yeah, what my goal for the presidency is for him to dismantle the deep state and to make this country a government of the people again. Yeah. That's my whole thing. Accomplish that.
Yeah.
I think that he will have, our generals will have the nation's leadership. They'll have our defense. They'll have everything under control. The economy will be great. All those things will happen. And so the one thing that I wish that they would be talking about is, I'm going to come here, I'm going to dismantle completely the deep state and make this a government of the people again. That's my number one priority, because I think everything else is going to happen with Trump's victory regardless.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, so bringing it a little bit closer to home, John, this betrayal they're talking about within the Republican Party in Lake County sets up this bizarre Florida campaign, and we're going to talk a little bit about this. If you don't know who this is Kerry Baker. He is the current supervisor of elections in Lake
Property
appraiser, I'm sorry, over in Lake County. But he left the Lake County Supervisor of Elections office just after noon qualifying deadline Friday, which was last Friday, confident he had wrapped up a fourth term as property appraiser, his third in a row without an opponent, and his second without his name even appearing on the ballot. Baker, you see, had come up with a trick. By filing as a write-in, he didn't have to pay the typical candidate's qualifying fee, a savings of $10,685.04. By staking out the election office on Friday, he would make certain he had no opponent, thus winning the race outright. But an hour or so later, the election supervisor, Alan Hayes, called him. Baker had drawn a last-minute rival, and fellow Republican Mark Jordan's name, unlike Baker's, would appear on the general ballot in Lake County, where the GOP dominates elections by a wide margin. So, yeah. I guess he felt a little bit betrayed. It's like something out of a Shakespeare play, probably the greatest personal betrayal I've ever experienced in my life, Baker said in a phone interview with from a Boy Scout summer camp in Georgia, where he serves as scoutmaster. I had told David Jordan, who I considered a friend, what I was going to do, same as I'd done before. Wait until the very end, and when no one else files to run against me, I file as a write-in at the deadline. I'm automatically elected, and then I give all that money back to my contributors. Anthony Sabatini weighed in, saying, everyone is disgusted and appalled and disturbed by what happened on a moral level more than politically. We'll do every single thing we can to make it clear to the Jordans, particularly to Mark, that the party will not acknowledge him and may expel or censure him. He doesn't deserve the Republican nomination. So I guess a lot of people are very upset about this, John.
Well, Kerry Baker, Senator Kerry Baker, and not just the property appraiser, but he was also in the state Senate. He's a beloved person in Lake County, and he's a all-around good guy. You saw him in uniform there, a first sergeant in the United States Army Reserve, or the National Guard, rather, and deployed, I think, to Iraq. He's a beloved guy. And he's been a good legislator. He has been a good property appraiser. It's a shame that this happens to the good guy.
Yeah.
Right. And look how he's doing it too. Right. So he does it so that he can give his money back to the donors. I mean, that's really good. All that's great. Now, in politics, it's like everything is fair. Right. There's everything is fair. There's no boundaries. Anything that you can get away with, that's what you do. And that's kind of a shame, because it leads to things like this, and now nobody can trust, and it makes it pretty bad. It's made it pretty ugly, and now this has a casualty that everybody loves. So here's the thing. Don't allow politicians to play dirty and get away with it. We suffer with that in Osceola County all the time. These guys are dirty. They put in ghost candidates. They do all kinds of crazy stuff. It's all funded by dark money. If you accept that, then you got to accept when this happens, because nobody should be surprised that this happened. And he even mentions it himself. I should not have been surprised. My wife told me not to risk it, right, in the story. So it's a shame. It really is.
Yeah, I think if there's certain things you want to keep close to the chest, you keep them close to the chest, and you have to know who you tell things to, know who these people are, and be very careful.
Well, I think that here's the thing. They have a relationship, so they knew that he did that, and they were waiting for him. So they were there, and he was under the impression that they were going to file for a different office. He goes there, he does it. They were already there in line, so they can get their time stamped, and they're good, right? So it was very deceptive. I mean, he can win because they're making a big deal. Also, what a good chairman Sabatini is to immediately get on top of it, right, and try to right this wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, I wish that we would see that here in Osceola, a chairman that would come here and, whenever you see these guys being swamped, they get called out and they get discouraged.
Yeah.
That would be great, because then they have to deal with the primary situation. I mean, all those would be positive things.
Yeah, no, I agree. So South Florida, John, is about to get hit pretty hard with mandated flood insurance for these South Florida residents. The new flood maps came out. Here's a look at one of them. And as you can see, the pink and the red, you are about to get hit with this mandated insurance. So tens of thousands of homeowners in South Florida will soon be required to purchase flood insurance, a move that experts say is necessary given the recent flooding that has inundated large areas of Broward and Miami-Dade counties. The Federal Emergency Management Agency's National Flood Insurance Program has updated its flood hazard maps, moving 88,913 previously low-risk parcels into special flood hazard zones. The new flood map revision takes effect in July. Home loan borrowers with federally backed mortgages who live in these parcels will now be required to purchase flood insurance under the terms of their loans. The majority of parcels newly designated as high risk are in low-lying areas of eastern and southern Broward that were swamped by the heavy rainstorms of the past week. So
yeah,
sad.
Well,
for them.
yeah, it's terrible, and this is I mean, this may help to correct some of the insurance costs, right, that we're dealing with in Florida.
God, I hope so.
Yeah, it may be part of that. You just never know, but we'll see. I know that Citizens tried to increase their rates also, right? So there's definitely problems going on, and we need to resolve them.
Yeah, absolutely. So get on it, please.
Now we're talking about another type of flood, a lavender flood.
Yeah, and you really need to know about this guy. If you've ever seen a dirty campaign mailer that's come to your mailbox, especially you in Osceola County.
Well, in a state house seat, right?
Yeah,
like if you're running in a state house seat.
But this guy has appeared and done these dirty mailers in other campaigns too. He was behind the ones in Will Fonseca's campaign.
Yep.
He was behind another one. He's been hired
as far as we know.
He's been hired by Nathan Blackwell. He's been hired by Fred Hawkins. He's been hired by others. Anthony Petticini. In this headline, it came out of the Sarasota Phoenix. Petticini is turning Florida Republican Party into Lavender RINO Uniparty. And if you've never seen Mr. Petticini, this is him here. Yeah. He's the one on the right.
He's the one on the right. Yeah, he's the one on the right. You might get confused, but he's the one on the right.
Yeah. The other one is Tampa Mayor Jane Castor. And this is him with her coming out in Ybor City in support of the Democrat liberal mayor and her LGBTQ coalition. And the funny thing about this is that Anthony Petticini usually...
and he's a member of this community from what we understand, right? That's why he's doing it.
Usually he is behind Republican candidates and works for Republicans. He owns a company called Sim Wins, which
Sim lost in District 35.
Yes, absolutely they did. But in Ybor City and beyond in Tampa, Petticini comes out of closet for all to see as nothing more than a promoter of the Democrat Liberal Uniparty, Tampa Mayor Castor, and her LGBTQ coalition. Unlike in Manatee County, Pedicini no longer hides his political ties to Castor and other of Castor's fellow Democrat liberal office holders in Tampa as he marches with them and Castor in Tampa's gay pride parades. And, just if you see a dirty campaign mailer, look at where it's coming from. It's probably coming from this guy. There's nothing good that comes from Anthony Pedicini. He attacked John in a dirty mailer. He attacked Will Fonseca and others. He's just a total piece of garbage.
Yeah, he's really the worst kind of person involved in politics. He's an entitled, self-absorbed, selfish kind of guy. He doesn't really believe in conservative ideals. If he did, he would be promoting people who would execute those conservative ideals as legislators and so on. But he doesn't. He helps people like Erica Booth, who's not conservative at all. He helped people like Fred Hawkins, who he may have voted conservative, but he was also a real dirtbag. Really, I mean, there's not a lot of ways to say it. When he was here and failed our schools and failed all the conservatives that were here that really wanted his help, and he just refused to.
I remember Pedicini getting into the Polk County politics page, and he was arguing back and forth when people were going there, speaking out against Fred Hawkins, and he was fighting on behalf of Fred Hawkins on social media pages. I know that Mayor Blackwell in St. Cloud has hired this man to do dirt for him. It's just whatever,
Yep.
All right. So keep that in mind with this election season, because I'm sure one of our local candidates...
He's going to be attacking people like crazy. So when you see these attack
hire
ads,
this guy.
Make sure that you go and check out the disclaimer, find out who's behind it, and if you see the name Anthony Pedicini or Sim Wins or anybody associated, Google whatever you find and see if they're connected with Anthony Pedicini, then you'll know automatically that these are bad actors and you probably should not trust those mailers at all. Yeah. You can just discard them. If you see negative ads by anybody associated with him, just throw that in the trash, because he's a hatchet man. That's what he does.
Yeah, and I'm glad that some other people are waking up to this guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so this is an interesting story, John. The son of the ex-Orange elections chief, Bill Cowles, works for key voting machine vendor. So if you haven't seen him, that is Mr. Cowles. And a few months before he retired, Orange County commissioners signed off on buying $3.5 million in voting equipment from election systems and software with little discussion. But behind the scenes, county purchasing officials devoted much more scrutiny to the deal than Cowles had supported, according to emails and records obtained by the Orlando Sentinel. One issue that caught their attention: Cowles' son Nick Cowles was working in Florida for ES&S, the vendor poised to snag the no-bid contract.
Wow.
Cowles, a Democrat, disclosed the connection to county officials, and ES&S told them in a written response to questions that Nick Cowles was not assigned to the Orange County supervisor of elections. And
that's fine.
Records show.
Yeah.
But
no, it had nothing
now
to do
out
with
of office, Cowles, who served more than 30 years as elections chief, defended how he handled the situation. He said his son's employment played no role in his decision to retire with about a year left on his term. The county purchasing department fully vetted that issue with ES&S, Cowles said, adding that some of the replaced equipment dated back to 2008. He is not a salesman. He had nothing to do with the sale. But if the company knows that your father is the supervisor of elections, has an in to get these machines purchased.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy that this would, I mean, we see it all the time here in Osceola County. The things that politicians do to get money in their pockets is just incredible. I mean, they're benefiting their families here with development. Right, we have all kinds of development. People that buy land, they ask the city to buy their land, and they ask the municipality to do this and fund that and give this, and all you got to do is make enough contributions so that they pretend they're friends with you, and then you can get whatever you want to get these projects going. And that's not the way it should be, because it's public money. Well, instead of being friends with the politicians, you should be friends with the people. And if you're friends with the people, then you're going to get what you want, because they're the ones that vote for politicians. That's the way it was designed.
Yeah.
And instead, these guys are just a bunch of selfish bastards who take care of themselves first.
That's true. That's true. All right, so now we're going to bring it home, John. But before we do, we have this important message from candidate Jim Trotz.
Honor, courage, commitment. These are the set of strong values and principles that has guided Jim Trotz's life. It's that sense of dignity and integrity, always striving to do what is right and ethical in any situation, that Jim wants to bring to our elections. The last couple of elections have brought about many questions about integrity, fairness, and honesty. Jim feels you should never have to question the integrity, fairness, or honesty of the election, and you should be confident that your vote has been counted and the results are fair and honest. That's because
we're talking about election integrity. Doesn't matter if you're a Republican or you're Democrat or you're a liberal or you're a conservative. The process needs to be fair for everybody.
This message is paid for and approved by Jim Trotz, candidate for Osceola County Supervisor of Elections.
Come on, guys.
All right, John. So, first up, Osceola's first Hispanic sheriff faces a rough path to re-election. And, there's a lot going on in that sheriff's race, John.
This is such a complicated race.
With a crowd of hopefuls seeking to replace him, Osceola County Sheriff Marcos Lopez is launching a re-election bid that may prove as tumultuous as his term in office. Lopez has attracted attention since his 2020 election for more than being Osceola's first Hispanic sheriff. While he made good on some of his campaign promises, from expanding Spanish language services to overseeing the agency's first real-time crime monitoring center, his administration has been at the center of controversy in its handling of the 2022 killing of Jaden Baez and providing misleading information about botched drug trafficking prosecutions cited in the suspension of, I don't know if that just reading that out loud, that doesn't sound right to me. Obviously, this came from the Sentinel. But cited in the suspension of Orange Osceola State Attorney Monique Worrell. Believe me, her suspension was totally
Yep.
deserved. Anyway, no surprise then he drew.
She tried to blame him.
Yeah, she tried to blame him, and obviously the Sentinel's taking her side. But it's no surprise that he drew 4 challengers in the Democratic primary, most prominently his predecessor, Russ Gibson, who was elected Osceola County Sheriff in 2016, but lost to Lopez in the 2020 primary by just 620 votes. So, and there's a number of other challengers to Sheriff Lopez, Wiley Black, Amaryllis Rivera. What do you think about this situation, John?
This is rough because when everybody who's running for sheriff, for the most part, are all former deputies, right? And that's not uncommon. But you have Wiley Black, who was a major. You have Amaryllis.
Except for one. But...
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then you have Amaryllis, who I'm talking about on the Democratic side, right?
True,
you have Tony Fernandez, right? So you have all these guys. They were all part of law enforcement. They all know each other. And when you're a cop, you begin to hear dirty laundry and whatever. You have an understanding of the system. This is why they always fire people. If you decide you're going to run for sheriff, then they get rid of you, right? Because
they know it's coming.
Yeah, they know it's coming. So that's a rough primary. The good thing for Marcos Lopez is that you have Russ Gibson, Wiley Black, and Amaryllis and Tony, right? So you have Marcos Lopez, who's splitting votes with Tony, right? Perhaps Fernandez, that's an option. You have Wiley Black and you have Russ Gibson, who are splitting votes, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people, so that makes it easier for Marco Lopez. I think that he's going to win the primary because it would only make sense that he's going to, when you have this many competitors and they're all well funded, they all have several thousands of dollars in their political account, then chances are the incumbent's going to win, right? Because he's going to have a base, he's going to have money, he has the money advantage, and chances are he's going to win.
Well, that's usually how it goes, right? I mean,
Right. And now the interesting part here is that you have on the Republican side, Donnie Martinez, although he's got his name Martinez, he's a white guy, but he's got the Hispanic last name. So now he could possibly pull out this upset when you have but he doesn't have any law enforcement. He doesn't have any law enforcement experience. I think he just passed police academy recently. And so, I mean, it's kind of like the strange. I know that Wiley Black is picking up a lot of steam in the race.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of people that are big fans of Wiley Black. They like Wiley Black. I think that there's this impression that everybody needs to run as a Democrat in order to win. That's clearly not true anymore. Or
I was personally told that by one of these candidates.
I've heard multiple candidates. I've heard 3 candidates say this. I've heard 3 candidates say exactly that. And I'll tell you which ones. Amarillo said it, Wiley Black said it, Tony Fernandez said it.
Yeah.
They all 3 of those have said, and in fact, Marco Lopez said it during his campaign to me. Yeah. So 4 of the Democrats have said that they are of conservative beliefs, somewhat to some degree. I'm not going to speak for them, but to some degree have conservative beliefs, but they think that they have to win as a Democrat. A good, really great candidate with great experience, right? That's where Donnie Martinez lacks. If Donnie Martinez had been like a 30-year, like if he had been like a Fisher type of candidate on the Republican side, he would have a great chance of winning.
Yes.
Right? So Donnie Martinez has to depend on turning out the vote by all the other Republicans in order to win. He's got to make sure that we have a great elections in general to win. But it's possible that you could get a good, because they voted, this county voted for Ashley Moody. Yeah. Right? It voted for DeSantis. Yeah. It voted for every statewide person. So they could vote countywide in a race for a Republican. That could happen, especially for this type of seat.
Yeah. I mean, I had Amaryllis Rivera tell me personally that she spoke to a consultant, and the consultant told her that she could not win as a Republican.
I heard her say that also. I heard her say the same thing. And at the last CDF meeting, Tony Fernandez said it, not at the last one, but at the one that he was at, he said those words also. And then I heard Wiley Black, and I had that kind of conversation, and I heard him firsthand. This is not like this is not secondhand. This is firsthand. I heard it with my own ears. He said it to someone at the rodeo. And so when people were talking about it, so sometimes that people, they just say that because they feel they need to say that. Sometimes they don't believe it. But the point is, man, just go with what your integrity tells you to tells you are. So
I'll give Donnie Martinez all the credit because he did file as a Republican.
Yep.
And wasn't afraid or ashamed.
And he's been working.
Yeah, and he's been working.
And he raised money.
Working. Yep. But, and I would wish to see others not be afraid or not listen to these consultants. Go with your heart.
Everybody's listening.
Be who you are.
Yes, everybody's listening to. Everybody's listening to these consultants that don't know what they're talking about in Osceola County. Osceola County is a different place.
They're looking at numbers, and these are the same people that tell you that you can't stop the bill, you can't do this, you can't do that. Stop listening to these people. They don't have their ears to the ground. They're not here for the most part. Don't listen to these consultants.
And it is a strong Democratic district, right? I think that.
But it's changing.
It's
if
changing.
you look at the actual numbers, we have more NPAs than anything. So.
And it's possible that there's a Democrat primary candidate who's more conservative than Donnie actually is.
Yeah.
Right? That's perfectly possible. And if that person had been there instead, then you might see a whole different race. So I mean, this is a complicated race because it's so complicated, because it's so confusing, because people don't know all the details. You have to give the advantage to the incumbent.
Yeah, and that's usually how it goes.
That's usually why they win.
If somebody is relatively happy with how Marcos has been doing his job, despite the hits that he's taken, I mean, that hit over the photo that was posted, I guess some are saying that it was that poor little girl's dead body. I don't know who it was.
Happened
I
there,
haven't really seen it. The sheriff's department saying that's not it.
There's been a lot of missteps at the end, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, there have been a lot of missteps at the end.
Yeah, but I think he's done a relatively all right job. I think there's definitely some questionable things that everybody's kind of like, But
and there are some Republicans that like him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, we have one of our friends. You know, they like, they're big fans of him. So it's just, I mean, I don't know. It's just it's
going to be interesting to see how this shakes out.
Yeah, it's all about how the elections, who turns out for the elections. I think that has a big say in it. The fact that, I'll tell you what, it's a big favor to Marco Lopez that Donnie got into the race, because then he closed the primary.
Yeah.
If it had been an open primary, then you might see somebody like Wiley Black win.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a complicated race.
Yeah, absolutely. So one cop I don't ever want to see run for anything, but I don't think he's going to be a cop anymore either. So this Kissimmee cop was arrested after paying for minors' nude photos. Osceola deputies reported. This is the guy right here. So deputies began looking into Officer Dario Keels Davia, 25, after receiving a tip about him offering money to a minor for nude photographs, according to an agency press release. The victim, whose age has not been released, allegedly first met this guy as he responded to a call for service in October. A search of his social media accounts revealed the photographs as well as evidence of payments and sexual conversations with the victim. He now faces 8 charges of possessing photos depicting sexual performance by a minor, along with solicitation of a minor for unlawful sexual conduct and misuse of a two-way communications device. He has been relieved of duty, and the department is fully cooperating with the Osceola County Sheriff's Office investigation. This is from the Kissimmee Police Department. He was hired by the agency back in March of 2021. So, good riddance. It just boggles my mind what some of these guys think.
Yeah, this guy's going to go to, I hope he goes to jail for a long time. This is not the type of people that we need to be serving, you know, in a position like this. This is absolutely absurd. It's as absurd and it's as obscene as a teacher. It's just not fair. It's really gross.
Yeah, absolutely. So keeping it with Kissimmee, John, the mayor's race over there is heating up.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, what happened? All right.
I don't know.
So just came out of
nowhere. Is it yours?
Is
it? No, it's both of us.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, tensions are spiking over the Kissimmee mayor's race, and this particular candidate. Let me see if I can pull that up. And I'm going to try something real quick. Just bear with me for a second if you want to say something, John, or talk.
Okay, so I was at this meeting, all right? So just bear with us while we try to work out the echo. I don't know where that's coming from. We only have one sound input going on. But anyways, I went to this meeting, and I saw zero sound, or is that great sound? I don't know. I can't tell.
Well, you know,
it sounds like the sound is good, right?
Should sound pretty great now.
It sounds. I mean, it sounded great in my headphones. That switched really quick.
So that's Olga Carino, by the way. So
that's Olga Carino in the purple suit, and that's her attorney who came from Puerto Rico, is what it seemed like. And they were arguing. Essentially, they were arguing over her residency status. She had a lease. Anybody can make up a lease and whatever, and she turned in the lease. She was supposed to submit other types of proof of residency, and it was a big confused mess of what did she turn in, what did she not, but it was very clear that there were questions about her residency. And I don't have any dog in this race, okay? I mean, everybody knows I have a relationship with Jackie Espinoza. I'm friends with her, and I have been a supporter of her in the past. She's not a swamp person, which is why I support her, right? And I'm not saying anything about anybody else in this race. I'm just saying that Jackie, for sure, I know is not a swamp person. So that's why I supported her in the past. Now, this person, they were arguing over her residency. She did not produce the same level of residency proof that another candidate, Noel Ortiz, who happened to be in the audience, and they were asking questions, and it was a very informal type of meeting, but he raised his hand. He was like, I had to do this and this and this, or they wouldn't qualify me to sit. Now, I know this for a fact, because my wife is a candidate for city commission in the same seat and for District 3, and she had to provide specific bills to get on as a candidate and to be approved. One of them was a utility bill, right? And the other one was my mortgage.
Yeah.
So she had to provide those things, and she had to provide them, and they had to be current. So, and it had to be by a certain date, that you had to prove that you were a resident by a certain date. And there were questions about whether or not this happened. She has a homestead exemption outside of the city, apparently, and all this different
that's
stuff.
what I had heard. It's on the home in, I guess it's towards Poinciana, that she has homestead exemption on that home and not the one she's claiming as her residence right now.
Yeah, exactly. That, I mean, so, anyways, they had to vote that night, apparently, so... they could have postponed it and had an emergency meeting for the next day, I think. Yeah. I don't know when they were due to the supervisor of elections, but they should have taken whatever time it was to find out, and apparently it just required one. Now, the other thing, when I walked in, they were talking about conflicts of interest. Apparently, one of the city commissioners had a contract for campaign management or videos or something for her campaign.
Wow.
Now, so basically, what I heard, and it was Jeremy Fetzer. Everybody knows Jeremy Fetzer around. He's a political op here in town. He's a very independent guy. He supports who he wants to support. He hammers who he wants to hammer. He's like, he doesn't, he's a fair guy. But he's very effective, and he's normally on the right side of an issue.
And he's not a swampy guy.
He's not a swamp guy. You're right. He's an independent guy who does his own thing, but he does care about things being open and honest and transparent and so on, and those are his causes. So anyways, when I walked in, they were talking about how this city commissioner had a contract, or her husband had a contract with the campaign, so she shouldn't be able to vote because obviously she wants them to win, right?
What city commissioner was that, John?
Jeanette Martinez.
Oh, okay.
So, and I'm not saying anything bad about Commissioner Martinez. I know her. I like her as a person. She is a good person. She was very articulate that night also. She's seemed like a very intelligent and able person, too. I have not seen her on the city commission up to that point. And she seemed very able, capable, articulate, intelligent. She did a good job at saying... her points, but she, I guess, the lawyer though, I'll argue with the lawyer because the lawyer of the county commission, in my opinion, I'm not an attorney, I have a JD, but I'm not an attorney. She seemed to give the commissioner bad advice, in my opinion. And it would have been better for her just to say no. It ended up going to a vote, and it was 5-0 anyway. So they were all going to vote together. There were people that had questions, but it went 5-0 regardless. And she could have just recused herself. It would have been 4-0.
Didn't Jeanette Martinez create the motion and propose it that they go ahead and just let...
Which makes it even worse.
Yeah.
It made it even worse, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. So I'm not attacking any of the people on this commission. I'm not familiar enough with the stuff that's going on there to have an opinion to the degree like I do with the county commissioner, the school district, or state legislators. But
I used to say that I didn't watch the Kissimmee City Commission meetings because nothing happened there. I used to say that. I used to say nothing happened there. Everything happened at the county. But all of a sudden now there's all this stuff happening at the Kissimmee City Commission. Yeah. Now I might have to start watching them. But
I think that we do. And here's the thing. I would say I would have agreed with you in the past. And I'll just say this. I don't know that I could agree with the decision that they made based on what the evidence that I walked in and heard and listened to. Yeah. So, I mean, I probably would have voted something else. I probably would have said something else. So it was a very interesting situation.
Yeah. I mean, and she's a very interesting candidate, Miss Carino. She's being sued right now, isn't she, John? I mean,
yes. So this happened several months ago, many months ago. There was a child. There was like an electric little trolley, right? Yeah. An electric little trolley that was sitting outside. Apparently, I don't know. This is my understanding. I don't know. These are not stating facts or anything. This is my understanding of the case. There was a trolley. Carino, this candidate, was driving it. She pulled it up. She left the keys in it.
Yeah.
Right? She walked into a restaurant and she left it unsupervised.
Yes.
And then a little kid got in, hit the gas, ran over a whole bunch of other kids. That's what my understanding is. So that's what she's being sued for. I didn't realize that before. I know that they were trying to file a lawsuit to get her off the ballot as well. This has been a really contentious, hard-fought campaign.
Yes.
Right? And so this is unfortunate because it's extremely unfortunate because people were injured in this situation and so on.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, it's not good, and it's not a campaign thing, and so I don't think it's campaign related even. It's just a family that is suing up because of that over a claim of negligence of some sort.
Yeah, absolutely, and just to see what's going on here, that there's questions about her residency. You know, she's being sued because of alleged irresponsibility with this trolley, and just I don't know, it just doesn't seem like a good choice to me. So anyway, I'll just say that. All right, so we'll move on to Osceola County.
Cool.
Osceola's controversial land preservation tax is back on the ballot, John. And, speaking of land preservation, their split oak forest. Once contentious tax aimed at preserving land from development in Osceola County is back on the ballot after nearly 20 years, and residents say it's more controversial than ever. County commissioners Monday approved drafting an ordinance for a referendum on the November ballot to continue funding the environmental land conservation program with a 0.25 mil property tax. Yeah, what a great proposal there. You know, now they're going to blame you when they start building. Residents have paid 25 cents for every $1,000 of assessed property value to fund land conversation across the county since 2004.
This is the biggest BS. This is the. I can't even.
Let me read that one more time. One more time. Residents have paid 25 cents for every $1,000 of assessed property value to fund land conservation across the county since 2004. 2004. All right, so 20 years. All right. The program is set to expire in 2025, and officials want to add to the 3,300 acres already preserved through it. Where are those 3,300 acres? I'm really curious. Across the state, conservation agencies like the Trust for Public Land and the Nature Conservancy rank the county first on the list of priorities for land preservation. These agencies are working with the county on a feasibility study to determine which land should be protected next. The program proved controversial during its inception nearly 20 years ago. Opponents worried residents couldn't afford the tax and it would only make landowners richer, while supporters warned if it wasn't approved, the county's rural way of life would end. And it absolutely has.
Yeah, but that...
but that has nothing to do with, we were paying the tax and it still ended.
Let's look at what they've done. Let's look what they've done while this tax has been in effect already. Split Oak.
Yeah.
All right, Brandon Arrington, who's not only a county commissioner who was the driving force to put a toll road through Split Oak Forest.
Yeah.
He's also the chairman of CFX, which is the toll road administrator.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, are you getting the picture here?
Mac Overstreet.
Okay, so you have a giant park of land that was specifically for that purpose. And what did Brandon Arrington try to put on there? A factory, a hydrogen plant, chemical factory. On the lake, on the shores of Lake Toho. They were just in a boat. Remember those two dummies were sitting in that boat talking about how to preserve the lake? They were literally putting a chemical factory, a set of chemical factories on the shores.
Was it a hydrogen factory?
Oh, was it a hydrogen? I don't know. It could have been, who knows what it was.
Yeah.
But it was multiple factories. Lithium factory, hydrogen. Yeah, I think it was hydrogen.
Yeah.
A variety of chemical factories put into a park where that was bought for a park, and that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absurd that they would ask for more money, and the citizens are not going to want to pay this money so that we can get the same hook, bait and switch that the county commissioners love. Look at Neo City.
Yeah.
Right? That could have been great park. It's central. It could have been great park. It could have been all kinds of cool things.
Huge
quality
park.
of life. It could have been all kinds of stuff. It could have been mixed use, all great, everything phenomenal. Instead, somebody's pipe dream ended up costing us nearly $400 million. They promised 1,000 jobs, and you know how many they brought? 100 and something jobs. Yeah. And how many of those jobs are actually from people who reside in Osceola County? Small percentage, yes. Okay. So I mean, this is a huge problem.
Living here.
The county commission needs to be disbanded It needs to be and then put out to pasture. This is absolutely absurd that they would now want to tax you. They're basically blackmailing. This is a bipartisan issue, Democrat, Republican. And by the way, the people who are running for all these seats that are Democrats are either related or married to the people on the county commission who are doing it. Yeah. You have Erica Booth running. She's married to Ricky Booth. Okay, combined IQ of 75 between the two of them. Yeah. She's married to Ricky Booth, the county commissioner, who you saw on that boat. And then you have Kristen Arrington, who's a state rep, married to Brandon Arrington. Between those four people, you couldn't screw Osceola County any worse.
That's right.
I mean, this is incredible. It's incredible that we would be sustaining this here. We need to have like torches and pitchforks during these county commission meetings. It's absolutely incredible.
Absolutely. Well, the fight continues today as residents carry on advocating for land preservation, but say it shouldn't be left in the hands of local governments. And I couldn't agree more. Michael Lella, friend of the show, friend of both of ours, county resident for nearly 30 years, said watching local governments allow a toll road slice off a 160-acre piece of once protected split oak forest broke his trust. And absolutely, not even just split oak forest. You can just look around Osceola County.
It's crazy.
And see what this tax has done for.
It hasn't accomplished anything.
It hasn't accomplished anything.
You know, it has not accomplished anything. They keep using this money. So you have $250,000, which was spent by what's her name, Cheryl Grebe, right? And in a big fish statue. Okay, in the rainbow colors to commemorate an event, to memorialize an event which occurred tens of miles. I mean, how many miles away? 30 miles away? 40 miles away?
Yeah.
Right? And it's
almost an hour drive.
It's almost an hour drive. It's a fish statue. In my opinion, it's mocking Christ. That's what the intent of this is. It's a mockery of the Christians of this county. She's basically saying that her LGBT radical agenda is going to dominate here, not Christianity. That's what that statute says. We have to absolutely fight that as a county. It's horrendous.
Yeah.
I mean, these county commissioners are out of control in Osceola County.
Yeah. I mean, if you keep voting for a Booth or an Arrington, you're just going to continue getting what we get. And you see what we've got, and it's not much.
And get taxed more for it.
Yeah. So taking it to St. Cloud, John, the St. Cloud City Council celebrated the grand opening of the Florida Avenue Multi-Purpose Trail. And that's funny because that's not exactly what it was called originally. But anyway, here they are. They are with, I don't know what the Osceola Magic calls their, I think they call it Spark, the dragon. That's their mascot. And there's the city of St. Cloud has a mascot now. And you can see it there on the left. I wish the city council members were dressed up like characters too, because they definitely are. But anyway, construction on this trail began in July of 2023, costing $2.3 million. They're saying it's funded by mobility fees. The event was well attended with 100 Florida Avenue multi-purpose trail shirts handed out to attendees. Yay! We opened up the trail. In attendance were St. Cloud council members Ken Gilbert, Lynette Matheny, and Colby Urban. Council member Sean Fletcher was unable to attend. State Representative Paul Stark. Wow, good job there.
It's terrible.
Good job there, Keith. Paula Stark, St. Cloud Chamber President and CEO Dirk Webb. Why do they always have to include all that? City mascot Sammy the Sandhill Crane. Yeah, that's what he's called. And Swish. I'm sorry, I don't know why I thought it was Spark. Swish, the Osceola Magic mascot, also showed their support by attending the event. The Florida Avenue Multipurpose Trail, featuring an 8-foot pathway, landscaping, and seating areas, connects the city's lakefront to the downtown district, offering residents a scenic and practical route for recreation and transit. And that's not true. That is not true. That is not what this thing is or what it was supposed to be at all. Originally, this trail, this Florida Avenue Trail, was going to be the Florida Avenue bike path. That was the original intention. That's the way they sold it to the folks when they first proposed the thing. And the intention of it was to be a pathway for the seaplane base visitors so that they could get to the downtown area. Because when they were proposing the seaplane base, they had to get buy-in. So they went to the downtown business owners because, anybody can figure out it's 10 city blocks to the lakefront. And no one's going to walk from the lakefront to downtown St. Cloud to get a burger or a steak or a slice of pizza.
Yeah.
So they said, okay, well, we're looking at building this trail, and we can have, pedicabs or rental bicycles that people can rent so they can ride up into the downtown area. It's going to be an economic boom. And they're still going ahead with the seaplane base. This is happening. But they also included in their seaplane base a plan for another restaurant on the lakefront, retail shopping on the lakefront. As far as I know, this is all going to happen. It's not going to be an economic boom. It's not going to be an economic boom for the downtown St. Cloud business owners. You're not going to see multitudes of people taking pedicabs from the lakefront up into downtown St. Cloud to grab a burger or a slice of pizza. It's just not going to happen. I mean, think about it. Live in reality. How many people actually own a seaplane? And how many of them are actually going to fly into St. Cloud? You have to think about these things. But anyway, yeah, they put park benches on this trail now. I'm wondering how long it is before we see the homeless sleeping on them over in St. Cloud. So, I'm not, I know it sounds...
Oh, man, that's a great point. Now, here's the thing. If the county commissioners, if everything goes the way the county commissioners have dependably done things, you will see exactly that. You'll start seeing encampments of homeless people.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even realize how many old trees got taken down for this trail.
A lot of old trees. That was super obvious. I drove down there delivering some signs recently, and yeah, absolutely a lot.
A lot of the residents of Florida Avenue liked those trees, didn't want to see them go for this thing. It's too late now. It's gone. It's already happened. We'll just have to see what comes of it. We'll have to see how many people actually use the trail. And, it sounds like I'm beating up on it. And yes, I am, because it was sold as a bad bill of goods. The real intentions of this thing were not revealed to the people. I had to reveal them when I was running for office. And I'll still say it. It's still what it is. And they're still going to go through with this plan. It's not going to be an economic boom for the city of St. Cloud. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
I wish you would have run for mayor, dude.
No. Anyway, that's the show, John. That's it.
Yeah,
we went an hour and 20. We went a little bit long. We did have a lot of stories.
We got started 15 minutes early though, so we're 5 minutes late than normally. But listen, we appreciate you staying with us. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and share the show. On behalf of School Board Member John Arguello, my great friend Citizen Tom Lord, we always appreciate you guys sticking with us. We love doing the show. We like preparing for the show. And this kind of stuff, hopefully it's of some service to you. So thank you. God bless you. We'll see you next week.